Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals, such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, and I'm host of Vancouver Island Time. And this week we're speaking with Jennifer Lowe. So I know Jennifer, I've known her for a long time. We have kids that are the same age and we both live in the Westshore. So tell me, you lived in Bear Mountain, and I know you grew up in the Westshore. So what made you decide to choose Bear Mountain as a place to live?
The resort style living. It's wonderful. You drive up the hill. You feel like you're on vacation. It's a wonderful community to live. We've got up there's lots of recreation activities to do, mountain biking, tennis, and it's a great community.
So, and you also built your own home too, right? So there's the opportunity to build your own home, your dream home.
Yes. Yeah, there's still lots of available up there as well. And I thoroughly enjoyed building my own home and may do it again.
I find people who are home builders, they have very specific needs, and so they're a lot different than your regular type of person. They can handle making many decisions. Often that's tough on a relationship. Was it tough for you guys?
We learned a lot in going through the building process. Given our experience, I do think you have to do it once before you really know exactly what it is you want in a home, and as far as well as being comfortable with the process of building. And you really need to have a really good builder or contractor do your interviews, do your homework to make sure you've got a good builder.
Okay. So you had young kids growing up in Bear Mountain. So Bear Mountain's at the top of a hill and there are a lot of views. How was that for you? They have a new road going in the back end now, which I've driven up and back on. It's quite nice, got a nice view. But how did that affect your transportation with your kids and stuff and access for them to get around and all of that?
That's probably the one negative about Bear Mountain. Yes, it's beautiful when you get to the top for the views, but if your kids want to ride bikes or, wanting to meet friends at, Tim Hortons or something, it requires a big, long walk up and down the hill, which is a bit of a deterrent and makes me a bit of a cab driver.
Mom taxi,
that's right. So, there is a few pathways in that the kids can take. And there is bus transportation up there, but it's not as readily available as my kids required. Langford has grown incredibly. I was looking forward to talking about this, as I have lived in Langford since I was just a few years old. 1980, I believe, is when I moved here with my parents. And seeing and remembering what Millstream Road was, which is now Veterans Memorial, what used to be Hull's Field, which is now West Hills Stadium, and I'm thrilled with how much development there's been in Langford, and thanks to Stu Young on that for sure.
Yeah, so what he did was he used big box stores to download the cost of development, and so they put in they pay for the lights, the streets. He also promoted the use of stratas, which paid for their own road development as well, and so then that brought in a lot of different malls as well. So we have a new mall going up, the Belmont Mall. What do you think about that? Because it's right beside the Westshore Mall.
I think it'll be kind of interesting. We do have a lot of grocery stores out in the Westshore. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Fairways. I'm a big Thrifties shopper, so having that big new Thrifties I'm looking forward to. I've been stuck in my thrifty ways for years and years.
You know what? Thrifties is mentioned as the top place. I got to get them to sponsor me.
Thrifties is wonderful. They've got the best quick meals on the go. They've got their produce is always fresh, and
They have a good deli.
they do have a good deli as well. Yes.
And their meat, I find in their delicatessen area.
Yes. No, I'm a big thrifty shopper, I have to say.
And, you know, if you're going to go for a snack with your kids, right, it's going to be good, like, and healthy.
Yes. And they do believe in supporting local.
Oh, and also you can get your gluten-free, and they have, like, lots of variety. Fairways, on the other hand, has more choice in terms of ethnic foods.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
And if you want to go for lunch, they have a good lunch thing. I know, because I hang out there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, at Fairway. Okay, so where do you go for dinner on the Westshore?
I have my few favorite places that I've been going to for many years. My Chosen Cafe is a huge favorite. If you're going to go to My Chosen Cafe, you have to go early. You cannot make reservations there. So I love talking my family into having an early dinner at, usually we head out there by 4:30. Love it. Food is phenomenal there. Bin 4 is another favorite. Milestones. We frequent Milestones as well.
Okay, favorite burger at Bin 4?
Bistro Burger.
I like the Heritage. It has avocado. Oh, avocado.
And they have really good chocolate torte too.
Oh, I haven't had that. But we did have a tuna poke, or however you say it, which was so good. So it's tuna and avocado with a bit of sesame seed. It was really, really good.
That sounds really good. I might have to try that.
We just copied the recipe and made it for a party last weekend. Anyway, okay. We digress again. Okay, bakeries.
Lighthouse Bakery. Love the Lighthouse Bakery. Get birthday cakes and stuff there. It's in the same plaza as Bin 4, which is a plaza that's been around in Langford ever since I can remember, but they've definitely improved it and upgraded it. And
then Starbucks. Any other coffee shops around there? Or how about Greasy Spoons? There's some nice Greasy Spoons on the Westshore.
yeah, there's is it Fountain Diner? I've been in there. It's a great little place. I like Fountain Diner. I've been there a few times.
Do you go out ethnic food like turmeric?
I like sushi. There is a good little sushi place. I can't remember the name of it, but it's on the corner of Goldstream and Jacqueline, just in and around there, right by the Municipal Hall.
Okay, on the south side there. Okay. And Chinese food?
I'm not a big Chinese food fan.
We go to the Golden Dragon.
That's been around for a good long time, too. Yeah.
Yeah, they know my kids since they were babies. We brought my son there for the first time when he was 6 weeks old. So, but his name's Morgan. They keep calling him Jordan, but whatever. They know what he looks like. Okay, and then entertainment. What do you do for entertainment on the Westshore?
My entertainment is basically watching my kids' sports activities. Westshore is huge with recreational soccer, hockey, lacrosse.
Home of the Canadian rugby team?
Yes. So we are always, basically entertainment is sports for us. Shamrocks, Grizzlies in the wintertime. That keeps us busy.
And what do you do for your own exercise?
We've got a couple of different options for recreation centers. Juan de Fuca, the Y, there's Royal Roads. I'm a big jazzercise fan, so I do jazzercise with Vicky Waters. That they do it through Juan de Fuca as well as John Stubbs School. Great workout. I've been doing it for almost 16 years. I started just after my daughter was like six weeks old, and I've been doing it with Vicky ever since. Love it.
How many days a week?
Usually 2 to 3 days a week.
So with young kids, there's a lot to do on the West Shore, I find. So there's skating on Sundays at Wanda Fuca. There's swimming, and there's also a variety of swimming lessons. Any other things that you did, like Timbits soccer or anything?
Yeah, there's Timbit soccer. There's Triangle Little League for baseball. There's lacrosse. For my son started playing lacrosse, I think, when he was 4.5, 5 years old. What else do we got? We've got 2 swimming pools, both with big water slides. We've got a bowling alley.
Langford Lanes.
Langford Lanes, yeah.
So the 2 swimming pools, one's at West Shore Rec Center and the other one?
Is at the Y, which is a brand new building.
It's so it has one of those slides that goes outside of the building, and there's also a library in there as well as at West Shore. Okay, so lakes.
Yes, we've got Thetis Lake. Actually, I'm going to Thetis Lake after work today to go for a hike around. It takes about just over an hour to go around the lake. It's a wonderful walk. Lots of off-leash dogs. Great place to take your pets. We've got Glen Lake. We've got Langford Lake. Both which also have great trails around the lake. We've got the Esquimalt Lagoon, which has the neatest thing right now. I love the sculptures that have been built down there. I think that is the coolest thing for a local to just make those incredible sculptures.
Did you know that they voted that he's not to do anymore?
That is absolutely ridiculous.
I think we need to start a whole campaign against it.
I think it's so neat, and I thoroughly enjoy if I drop my daughter off at school. She goes to Royal Bay, and then I take a drive down the lagoon. It's a beautiful drive right along the ocean, and to look out and see the sculptures, it's such a cool thing.
Okay, what about in terms of schools? So you mentioned your daughter goes to Royal Bay. That's a secondary school in the new Royal Bay development. My son goes to Belmont, which is in West Hills development. And what about middle schools and elementary schools?
Well, I was born and raised in Langford. I went to Happy Valley Elementary. Then I went to Dunsmuir. So we've got, I'm not sure how many elementary schools we have out there, but quite a few. Middle schools, we've got 2, Dunsmuir and Spencer. And then we just recently built 2 brand new high schools. Royal Bay and Belmont.
Right. And then there's the option of French immersion if you want to take it. And then the middle schools and the high schools also have kind of magnet programs for education, right? It's like so sports and arts and music and stuff.
Yeah, they've got different academies. I know my son, he's big on the lacrosse academy. There is a hockey academy. There's a dance academy. I think there's a soccer academy. There's all kinds of options.
And then the schools also offer a variety of things. So my nephew's at Royal Bay, and he's taking foods and woodworking and stuff like that. Is your daughter or your son going to take anything along those lines?
Both. My son is going to take the lacrosse academy, I believe, at Royal Bay. My daughter, she does all the electives, so I think you get to experience the food, woodworking, metalwork.
Yeah, and I think they also, what I was impressed with, I think they had over 41 choices for electives for my son. He was coming from the French school in Esquimalt, and he had a choice of art or music. So when we sent him to Belmont, it was like opening up a menu. It's like, oh, wow. Like it really is incredible. They do go the extra distance, and they have lots of extracurricular stuff that you can do with lifeguarding, and you can get credits for that sort of thing. Okay, so best thing you like about living on the West Shore, we'll close out from there.
I would just say it's such a growing community. It's changed so much. There's not really a need to go into town anymore like there used to be, because we have Costco, we have Walmart, Superstore, all those kinds of things. It's just a lovely young community.
Yeah, and we have a lot of the other, some outlet stores too. I find that's great for shopping. You don't have to go downtown. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people from downtown come out to us.
Yes, exactly. That's the best.
All right, so we're going to be back with Jen Lowe. She's going to be talking about her business, which is she's in the mortgage industry. So she's been a great client of mine, and you'll learn about how she provides her extra service for her clients. So stay tuned. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Vancouver Island Time is brought to you by the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, Victoria, where we bring local expertise and global presence to your property.
Hi, everybody. We're back with Jen Lowe. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. So Jennifer is a mortgage specialist, and she's with the DLC. How do you say it?
Dominion Lending Modern Mortgage Group.
So tell me, first of all, so I've known you probably almost 15 years. How did you get into be a mortgage broker?
That's a loaded question, Jane. Well, let's tell the story. So when we met, Jane and I was a mortgage specialist at TD, working for one bank. And Jane asked me the question, why don't you become a broker? And I went, I need to think about this. I think I need to look into this. And so I did some research, and did it make sense to be a mortgage broker over a mortgage specialist? Hugely, because I have access as a mortgage broker to multiple lenders, multiple different mortgage options for my clients, and you're required to be certified. I was required to pass and obtain a mortgage broker license, so there's that education piece behind it as well.
So as a mortgage specialist, you're working for one bank.
That's right.
And you can only sell their product.
That's right. And you're not required to be licensed like a mortgage broker is. So the scary thing is you're providing mortgage advice, but you don't have specific education or certification.
So tell me about working as a mortgage broker. So you work for a company and you shop the market for your clients. The way I describe it when I'm talking about the work that a mortgage broker does is there's a variety of providers and then there's products. What do people need to look at, or what do you look at when you're selecting a lender for a buyer?
It comes down to the relationships that I have with multiple lenders and the underwriters that we work directly with at those lenders, as well as looking through the fine print. There is so much fine print depending on what my clients are looking to do in obtaining the mortgage. Are they planning on living in the property? Are they renting the property? Are they going to be moving within the next 5 years? Does a fixed rate or a variable rate make sense in those circumstances? There are rates that people can Google that look absolutely incredible, but there normally is a lot of fine print attached to those restrictions with the ability to get out of the mortgage early. There has to be sale of a property to an arm's length buyer in order to get out of that mortgage. So the rate may sound really good, but really you should take it to your mortgage broker. I'd love to help in dissecting that rate and making sure that it's a good mortgage product.
And sometimes people go directly to the bank because what they say to me is, I've had a great relationship with that bank for 20 years, but often you can get a better rate, right?
Through their bank, yes.
Like CIBC, I'm thinking, or TD or whatever.
The reason why we can potentially get a better rate through your bank, through Scotiabank, for example, is the amount of volume that we send to your lender, or to let's just use Scotiabank, under Dominion Lending. So the rate that they're going to give me when I send in millions of dollars of mortgages to this lender is unfortunately going to be better than they're going to give a client who's looking to borrow $500,000.
Okay, so how does a buyer get ready to purchase a house? What do they need? So what I tell people, and I may be wrong, or erroneous. I say every time you have a notice of assessment, send it to your mortgage broker. Every time you have your tax assessment, send it to your mortgage broker. Every time, you have once a year you have a pay stub, send it to your mortgage broker, because I want them to have a record of all the sort of pieces of my economic puzzle. What do you like to have with your clients? What information do you want them to keep sending you over time? Because you never know when you're going to requalify, right? And it's a pain in the butt to have to go back and find all that stuff.
Yes. So when we do a mortgage application, it does depend on the kind of income that you have as to what documents are required. For a streamlined application of a government worker, salaried, they get a guaranteed annual salary. We look at a pay stub and an employment letter, or their previous year's T4. Sometimes, from a strategy standpoint, it makes sense to look at a 2-year average of their income, especially with the new stress test that the government's put into play. It's becoming harder to qualify. So having the information of their multiple years of T4s, we're then able to look at any overtime income that they've earned in last 2 years to bump up their income.
And also, if they've gone from being a full-time employee to a contractor, that makes a difference too, right?
That makes a huge difference, yes. Yeah.
So whereas they may be earning the same income if they haven't been earning it over 2 years, if they've gone to their own business, they are considered a higher risk by the bank.
Yes, because most likely what those clients are doing too is they don't want to pay taxes. So they're keeping their income to at least amount as possible. And unfortunately, one area that the government's really restricted on for us is the stated income program, which was put out there for lots of clients that were business for self.
So I know a lot of people will wonder, what is a stress test? What does that mean?
It means what the government has done is they're making applicants qualify at an interest rate that's 2% higher than what the interest rate that we're getting them for their mortgage. They're qualifying on that rate over 25 or 30 years. But it's a higher interest rate and a higher payment amount that we have to put in the application.
So let's say somebody has a house and they're still going to live in it, but they're coming up to their renewal, or they know like interest rates are probably going to be hiked up, a couple of times. Who knows, right? Everybody's always speculating. So they come to you, and what can you do for them? So they're not moving, but they may want to refinance.
It would be looking at their mortgage statement, seeing, from depending on what the interest rate that they're at currently and the payment that they're comfortable making, if we're going to be looking at increasing, that payment's going to increase because rates have gone up, we can look at changing the amortization for them, or just in taking a look at that and taking a look at what their current lender is going to provide them for a renewal rate. I will play the game on your behalf with your current lender and see what's the best rate that they will give you. And if I can get it through a different lender, get you a better rate, then I'm happy to take a look at that.
So in terms of people who are looking, who's your ideal client? Trick question.
Yeah. My ideal client is anyone who needs help with obtaining a mortgage, really. If you have a mortgage and it's just not working for you, I'd be happy to take a look at it and see what I can do. I mean, mortgages are things that people get usually 2 to 3 times in their lifetime. I work on mortgages every day for the last 15 years. So I love dissecting your mortgage and seeing how we can make it work better for you.
One thing I found is over the past 10 years, I guess there's been a lot of people who have been learning a lot about different things. Like they book their own plane tickets, or they buy their own house or whatever. And like me, I sold my own car. Biggest mistake I ever did. I ended up not including the GST in the purchase price. So it cost me $1,200. I just think it really is important to go to a specialist, don't you think?
Yes, very much so. I mean, it doesn't cost any money. My service is free. So why not? Why not just have me take a look at it and see what I can do for you?
So how do you get paid? Because I know people will want to know.
I get paid by wherever we place the mortgage. I get paid a finder's fee from the lender based on the mortgage amount.
And it's a percentage? It's a percentage?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Variable, tell us about terminology. Variable versus fixed, open versus closed.
Variable versus fixed. So variable is based on prime rate. Bank of Canada sets prime rate 4 times a year. Most variables right now are prime minus a percentage point. That's usually a 5-year closed term. So you're guaranteed to have that prime minus for 5 years.
But the prime rate can change.
But prime rate can change, yes. Your spread off of prime rate will not change, but the prime lending rate can change.
Okay, so let's give an example. So I get a prime. I was riding the variable rate mortgage market for a long time until about a year and a half ago. So I was doing prime minus like 1.75 or something. It was an incredible rate. I think I was paying about 2% for a mortgage. And then, but when we refinanced, we went with a fixed rate because I thought the rates are going to go up. So now, even if I was prime minus 1.75, I would be at, it's like 3.75, right?
Prime's at 3.45.
3.45. So my rate would have gone up because I'm tied to that number. So wherever that number is. Okay. And then open.
Open mortgages are not seen very often. Basically, by having an open mortgage, there's no penalty to get out of it. So lines of credit are, in essence, open mortgages. We do look at open mortgages if your mortgage is coming up for renewal and we're looking to switch it to a different lender. If it's not the timing of getting everything done, some lenders will put you into an open term. Something that is fine print, because there are some lenders out there that don't have an open term. They will put you in a 6-month closed term in which that triggers a penalty. So there's all this. That's just an example of fine print.
Okay. How important so I always tell people when they write an offer, there's 5 components. So the first is obviously price, and everyone's always focused on that. The other is deposit. But the third one is really important for mortgages, and those are dates. So let's say my mortgage is coming up for renewal July 5th, and I have an offer and it's closing July 4th. What could possibly be, what are the penalties involved with a fixed closed rate mortgage?
Thousands of dollars.
Like tens of thousands.
Yes. Especially, yes. We had one that we worked with that I said nope, sorry, Jane, the closing date has to be this date or later because it's going to trigger a penalty. The banks don't care that it's only 24 hours or it's only 1 day before, it still triggers the penalty. And
I think it was an $11,000 penalty.
Yes. Yeah, it was huge.
So when you're writing an offer, one of the tricks is to ask the listing agent, have your agent ask the listing agent, what's the ideal closing date? Because we're tying it in, to the end of the mortgage, or they can port a mortgage. So tell us about that.
Most lenders offer the ability to port. You can either do a port and increase, or a port, just a straight port, or a port and decrease. By basically what you're doing is you're just taking your current mortgage with you, with the current term. Using Scotiabank, for example, they port that current mortgage, and then we do a new mortgage for whatever the increased amount is. That way you're avoiding any penalty.
Okay, and then that's if you're moving up in the market, across the market and up. What about assuming people's mortgages? How does that work?
Assuming is something interesting that I have to admit, I've looked into a number of mortgages to see if it's the ability to assume it, but it's never worked out because It has to be exactly the same application, exactly the same mortgage amount, with values increasing the way they have. It usually means an astronomical down payment for whoever's purchasing the property. So it just doesn't seem to work out. But that's one of the biggest things. People always want to make sure that their mortgage is portable and assumable.
Yeah, and I think it is portable and assumable. When it's good is when the interest rates go up, and then you have something that's way less than the current interest rate. So it just makes sense to make it work, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And when the interest rates go up, prices go down.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it decreases the amount of money you can spend. All right. So if you're interested in learning more about mortgages, how do we get in touch with you?
You can reach me on my cell phone at 250-217-4925. My email at j.lowe@dominionlending.ca, or check out my website at jenlowe.ca.
And how do you spell Jen Lowe?
Good question. Jenlowe.
Right. A lot of people remember your name because J-Lo, but
Yes.
Anyway. Okay. And if you're interested in learning more about real estate in different areas, my name's Jane Johnston. I'm a top selling realtor with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. If you want to watch our show, you can on YouTube at Briar Hill Group or on Facebook at Vancouver Island Time, or you can go to our website at vancouverislandtime.com. We're also on podcasts at Stitcher, TuneIn, and iTunes. So welcome to the neighborhood of Bear Mountain.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to vancouverislandtime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.
Do you feel like you're drowning in administrivia? Do you have a podcast you would like transcribed to repurpose as a blog or even a best-selling book? Rhonda's Virtual Office is the answer to the freedom you crave so you can get busy doing what you love. Let Rhonda's Virtual Office give you the relief you need. Visit rhondasvirtualoffice.com and get some peace of mind today. Rhonda's Virtual Office is the go-to transcription service for EWN Podcast Network.